Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today, inshallah, we're going to complete our talk about the GDP calculation by using the income approach. As you know, that in the last class, we discussed how to calculate the gross domestic product by using the expenditure approach exactly. And today, we are going to focus on the GDP calculation by using the income approach, right? To understand the concept or the idea or the relationship between the GDP calculation by using the expenditure approach and the income approach, let us take the following idea, or let's apply the role playing. So I want two students here to come here. تعال بهاء فايق and you. Okay, Ahmed, you can come. To understand the idea, you can close. Suppose that Ahmed has a company, and this company produces cars, right? And the price, and the price per car is $9,000. And we have only, our assumption is that we work under this very simple economy. That this means that we have only two persons or two sectors in the economy. So Ahmed has a factory or a company produces cars, and the price per car is $9,000. And he produced in 2012, he produced, this is the year, he produced 10 cars, right? So the market value of these cars equals how much? 9, the price times the quantity produced. This is the GDP. So in this case, the market value of the GDP equals how much? 10, the price times the quantity equals the price 9,000 times 10 equals 90,000. Right? This is what? تعالوا. As we mentioned that Ahmed is the producer, right? And who buys the production? Fayeg. Suppose that Fayeg spends all of his income, or suppose he spends money to buy these cars from Ahmed. In this case, Fayeg used the expenditure approach. So because he spends this money, which is, he spends how much? $90,000 to whom? To Ahmed. So in this case, Ahmed received money which became an income for Ahmed. So we can calculate the GDP by the expenditure approach, which is the Fayeg, as you know, that Fayeg spends, or this is the expenditure of Ahmed, or the expenditure of Fayeg, and the income, it has become an income for Ahmed. So it's two faces for the same idea. Thank you. هلا الوضع شو؟ اللي أنفقه أحمد، اللي أنفقه فايق, it's the same, or the income received by whom? By Ahmed, right? So we can calculate the GDP. Here's the relationship between the expenditure approach and income approach. And when Ahmed received the money or the income, he will spend it or distribute it to different factors of production. Like he has to produce, or he has to pay what? Salaries and wages for the persons who work on production of these cars. Sometimes he has to pay rent, right? So sometimes he has to pay interest for someone who invested in this in his company, right? Which called the national income, right? So let's begin with the calculation of the GDP by using the income approach, right? So let's start or begin with the national income. National income means الدخل القومي. The national income is the total income earned by whom? By the factors of a production owned by the country's citizens. So it's the total amount or the total income earned by the factors of production which are owned by the country citizens.
To buy factors of production.
Yes, yes. And it includes what? The wages and salaries that they receive. So as you see, the national income includes the compensations of employees such as wages and salaries. It's part of income, right? What else? The proprietor's income. دخل أصحاب المشاريع الصغيرة. واحد فاتح business صغير, he will receive income. So it's part of the national income. What else? The net interests. صافي الفوائد, which is the difference between the interest that the consumer or the investor receive and what he pays to the banks. It's called the net interest. صافي الفوائد. الفرق بين اللي انت استلمته ناقص اللي دفعته للبنك للناس اللي دفعوه للبنوك لانه sometimes they receive they withdraw, sometimes they withdraw loans, so they have to receive interest. So the difference between what they have received as investors, right, and the payments or the interest payments. So it's called the net interest. So it's part of the national income. And what else? The corporate profits. أرباح الشركات. مش أرباح هذه. Part of these profits would be distributed, and another part will not be distributed. It's called retained profits. So the summation of the corporate profits or the corporate profits includes the distribution or the distributed profits and the undistributed profits. صح؟ هلا كل هذا profits. It's called the corporate profits. طب distributed profits هي ايش؟ dividends. أرباح الشركات في الآخر آخر السنة جزء بتوزع وجزء بضل ريتين. مظبوط؟ هلا اللي يوزع بسموه it's called dividends. Right? تمام؟ هلا when we talk about the national income, we are talking about the corporate profits, which includes the distributed profits or dividends plus undistributed profits, which is retained earning or retained profits, right? And the last thing is the rental income. Suppose that you have a house, or suppose that you have a building and you would like to rent it. In this case, you will receive income. So it's part of the national income, right? So to summarize, the national income includes what? The salaries and the wages that the people receive in the economy, proprietor's income, net interest, corporate profits, and the last thing is the rental income, right? This is what the national income, not the GDP, not the gross domestic product. To reach the GDP by using the national income, we will see we have a formula to calculate the GDP or to derive the GDP from the national income. جايين نحسب ال GDP من ال national income لأنه ال GDP it's not the national income. Sorry? Okay. A rental means إيجار. Suppose that you have a store, suppose you have a house. If you rent or rented it, you will receive rental. Yes, it's called rental or a rental income. الدخل اللي جاي من وراء اللي هو الإيجار. Right? So, yes. Proprietor's income means دخل أصحاب المشاريع الصغيرة. يعني suppose we have a micro business or the small business, and you will receive income by managing this business. Okay? Yes. So we have a formula to calculate the GDP or to derive the GDP from the national income. بنقدر نشتق ال GDP من ال national income by using the following formula. هذه الفورمولا بدكم تطبقوها انتم في الاكسرسايز اللي ناخذها. Which is, as you see, the GDP, the gross domestic product, equals what? The national income plus the depreciation plus indirect taxes minus subsidies, minus the production subsidies. Indirect taxes like the sales taxes or the production taxes at school. الضرائب الغير مباشرة ناقص the production subsidies. الإعانات اللي بتنعطى للمنتجين. And the last thing is the net factor payments to the rest of the world plus others. هلا حناخد exercise بالdetails تبعته how to reach the GDP by using the formula. So let's derive the national income from this formula. In this case, the national income equals what? The GDP minus all these things. صح؟ مظبوط ولا لا؟ So as you see, the national income equals what? The GDP minus the depreciation minus indirect taxes minus subsidies. It will be, and as you see, بين قوسين. And minus the net factor payments to the rest of the world. طبعا net factors payment to the rest of the world. انتوا عارفين انه في ناس بتشتغل عندنا في البلد بتحول مصاري برا اللي هم الفورينرز. مظبوط؟ تمام. هلا في ناس تانية من اهلنا الموجودين اللي هي الكونتري سيتيزنز بيشتغلوا برا وبحولوا مصاريهم. الفرق ما بينهم بين the payments transferred to outside وبين ال payments transferred inside اسمه net factor payments to the rest of the world. ال payments transferred to outside minus ال payments that we have received. اللي طالع ناقص اللي داخل. يعني الفلوس transferred اللي هم اللي طلعوا برا ناقص اللي دخل عندنا، الفلوس اللي دخلت عندنا من المين؟ من الكونتري سيتيزنز اللي اصلا موجودين برا. تمام؟ So as you see, the national income equals the GDP minus depreciation minus اللي بين قوسين هدول indirect taxes plus minus subsidies. هلا هنا شو اللي بصير؟ الماينس بيدخل على القوس بتصير yes indirect taxes بتصير minus times minus subsidies بتصير plus. صح؟ So we can write the formula as you see. So national income NI equals GDP minus depreciation minus indirect taxes plus subsidies, because minus times minus equals plus, right? So minus plus subsidies or the production subsidies minus the net factors payments to the rest of the world والاذرز هذا we can ignore it لانه ما بيشكلش شيء كبير في الحاجة. تمام. So let's go to the following exercise in order to understand the concept and the idea. So as you see in this example, خلينا نقرب الصورة بأسامة على الهان. We have the following information about an economy in 2002. We have information about the different components of the national income, depreciation, indirect taxes minus subsidies, net factors, payments to the rest of the world, and others, and we have to calculate the GDP, right? So, as you see, or as you know that, the GDP equals what? GDP equals, let's come back to the formula. GDP equals the national income plus the depreciation plus indirect taxes minus subsidies plus the net factor payments to the rest of the world plus the others. So let's come back to the exercise. So as you see, the gross domestic product equals what? National income plus depreciation plus indirect taxes minus subsidies plus the net factor payments to the rest of the world plus the others, right? We have to calculate the national income by summation of the different components of the national income. صح؟ مظبوط شباب؟ طيب, so national income, it has to be calculated by the summation of compensation of employees plus, يعني suppose انه الانكم national income مش معروف, مش موجود. We have to calculate it by summation of the compensation of employees, تعويضات الناس الأجور والرواتب, which means the salaries and wages, plus the proprietor's income, دخل أصحاب المشاريع الصغيرة, plus corporate profits, أرباح الشركات, plus net interest plus rental income. هدول السميشن تبعهم is the national income. صح? To calculate the GDP equals, as we mentioned, national income plus depreciation plus the indirect taxes minus subsidies plus the net factor payments to the rest of the world plus others equals GDP. تمام؟ طيب, suppose إنه إحنا we would like to calculate the national income من ال GDP. يعني suppose the GDP is given وال others given والnet payment factor payments to the rest of the world given على طول GDP minus هدول هيك بنوصل we will reach to the national income. Others يعني حاجات بلا يعني خلينا نعملها ignorance, مش كثير, لا تشكل إشي بالايكونومي. ماشي؟ هلا بالفورمولاز الجنرال فورمولاز في الكالكوليشن بيعملوا ignorance للاذرز, وبالتالي these are the main components of the GDP: national income, depreciation, indirect taxes, and so on, as you see. Is there a problem so far? مين مش فاهم أعيد له شباب؟ حد مش فاهم أعيد له؟ Okay. We have other formulas to derive the GDP and other components and other variables related to the gross domestic product, like the GNP, gross national product, net national product, net national income, and so on. So let's derive the gross national product from the GDP. As you know that GNP, what's the meaning of GNP? GNP includes what? The gross the total production of the country's citizens. اللي هم the country's citizens, yes, regardless the location of production. يعني GNP ايش بيشمل؟ بيشمل انتاج مواطنين الدولة بغض النظر عن وين موجودين. يعني الفلسطينيين الموجودين في الخليج بيحسب ضمن الجي ان بي بس بنحسبش ضمن الجي دي بي الفلسطيني. صح؟ So let's calculate the formula, or let's calculate GNP by using the GDP. هلا GNP it's not the GDP, صح؟ لأنه الGDP شامل إيش؟ شامل الناس الموجودين أصلاً في البلد، تمام؟ ومش حاسب إنتاج الفلسطيني اللي برا، وبالتالي شو اللي بدي أعمله أنا هنا؟ بدي أخصم يس foreigners اللي في فلسطين هدول GDP فلسطيني. It's a Palestinian GDP. Exactly, GNP for their countries, right? هلا to understand the concept بدي أحكي بالعربي. هلا GNP هو GDP، بس إيش بدنا نعمل؟ في ناس الموجودين برا، الفلسطينيين الموجودين برا، هدول بدهم يحولوا فلوسهم هنا، وبالتالي it should be added to the GNP Palestine. صح؟ the Palestinian GDP GNP. طب الفورنرز اللي أصلا موجودين هنا بدنا نشيل مصاريهم من الجي دي بي الفلسطيني ونوديه على وين؟ على الجي ان بي في بلادهم. So the GNP is what? الجي دي بي الفلسطيني plus البيمنتس تبع الفلسطينيين اللي حولوا inside minus the payments transfers outside، لأنه حساب الفلوس اللي اشتغلوا فيها الأجانب حولوها برا، وبالتالي هدول مش GNP فلسطيني. صح؟ So it should be deducted from the GDP. Yes. To calculate GNP.
is Palestinian income
GNP or GDP? GNP is the production of all Palestinians, regardless the location or the place of the production. But the GDP is the production of all the peoples who are located in Palestine, regardless their nationality. Right? So, GNP, the gross national product, is the GDP plus the payment transferred inside لهم من الفلسطينية اللي حولوا فلوسهم جوا نحسب ضمن الجي ان بي الفلسطيني minus the payments transferred outside, the foreigners who work in Palestine who transfer their money, their incomes to outside, to their countries. صح? So the formula is GNP equals the GDP plus receipts of factors income from the rest of the world. اللي استلمنا receipts of the factors income from the rest of the world. يعني الفلسطينيين اللي بيشتغلوا برا حولوا receipts احنا استلمناه minus اللي تحول برا اللي هو payment of the factors income to the rest of the world اللي هم الأجانب اللي بيشتغلوا عندنا وحولوا مصاريهم برا. Right? Is it clear? طيب. To derive the net national product NNP, yes. نفسه بس ايش تشيل منه حاجات وتدخل حاجات. مظبوط؟ هلا الجي دي بي كل الانتاج تبعنا بس مين اشتغلوا فيه الفلسطينيه والاجانب، بس انا بدي اشيل منه عشان احسب الجي ان بي بحكي عن الفلسطينيه، بدي اشيل الاجانب واجيب الفلسطينيه اللي التحويلات تبعتهم. Right? So to calculate we have another formula to calculate the net national product. NNP is the net national product. إجمالي أو صافي الناتج القومي. It's it should be calculated by it's equals to GNP minus depreciation. Net national product هو GNP هذا اللي طلعنا فيها الجيت minus depreciation. بيعطينا الصافي. Right? So NNP equals GNP minus depreciation. طب في حاجة تانية it's called the national income. As we mentioned, national income has five main components is wages with sellers and so on. طيب we have another formula to calculate the national income. شفت ال NNP اللي طلع حسبنا which has been calculated here minus indirect taxes plus the production subsidies. قوانين هذه formulas. Right? So if we have a question maybe or exercise واجا قال لك calculate GDP بيجي بقول لك هيك calculate GDP بعدين then calculate GNP ومعطيك ال payment transferred inside وال payment transferred outside. It's easy to reach to the GNP and then بيجي بقول لك calculate NNP net national product and then national income. Is it easy or difficult for you? في الامتحان هيك ممكن يجيب. طبعا. Step by step you have to reach to the different variables requested to reach the to answer the exercise. طيب. We have another formula which is or another variable it's called the personal income. Personal income. البيرسونال انكم هو الناشونال انكم بس بدنا نشيل منه حاجات ونضيف عليه حاجات. So البيرسونال انكم هو الناشونال انكم بس بدنا نشيل منه اللي ما استلمناهوش فعلا وبدنا نضيف عليه اللي استلمناه فعلا. يعني طبعا ما عدا اللي هو الدايركت تاكسز او الانكم تاكسز. بمعنى انه الانكم الناشونال انكم في بيشمل الكوربريت بروفيتس صح؟ كل الكوربريت بروفيتس بس هل كل الكوربريت بروفيتس استلمنا؟ لا. انا استلمت الديستريبيوتد بروفيتس صح؟ يعني بس في شيء ضلوا retained بسموه undistributed profits. لا الديفيدنس استلمته. I have received the dividends. So it should be added to the national income. But the undistributed profits I have not received yet. So it should be deducted from the national income. صح؟ أنا كل شيء أجاني على الناشونال انكم أو استلمته فعلا it should be added to the national income to reach the personal income. Everything that I have not received or yes actually it should be deducted. أي حاجة استلمتها فعلا بدها تنضاف اللي ما استلمتوش مش هينضاف. So let's see. As you see, PI is the personal income. اللي هو الدخل الشخصي. It equals to what? National income minus social security taxes. مرات الواحد عنده دخل بس بقصوا منه ضرائب لإيش؟ على السوشيال سيكيورتي. بيقول لك هذا بدنا عشان الناس اللي هم الخدمات الاجتماعية. وبالتالي هذا جزء من دخلي بس ما استلمتوش. So it should be what? Deducted. تمام؟ طيب. The corporate profits taxes. على corporate profits هذه it's part of the national income بس في عليها taxes. ما استلمتهاش أنا. I have not received that. So it should be deducted from the national income. What else? Undistributed corporate profits. I have not received that. صح؟ The pension premiums installments. مرات بيكون عندك دخل انت دخلك $1000 بيجي بيقول لك والله بدنا نقص 10% لمعاشات تقاعد. هدول عشان بكره لما بدك تستلم معاشات تقاعد بسموها اقساط معاشات التقاعد اللي هي ايش؟ pension premiums installments. هدول مش اللي انت بتستلمهم بعد ما تخلص بعد الريتير، لا هدول اللي during اللي هم monthly it should be deducted من your income. طيب في اشياء it should be added to the national income which is received actually like the social security payments to the households. في ناس بتكون قاعدة بتاخد ايش؟ social security payments من الجفرمنت. صح؟ What else? Unemployment compensation payments في التعويضات للبطالة للناس القاعدين. Welfare payments مدفوعات الرفاه اللي بتدفعها الحكومة to the people. And what else? Interest on the public bonds. You have received that. As well as the personal interest income received from the government and consumers and the dividends. So all these things should be added to the national income to reach the personal income, and all these things should be deducted from the national income. Yes. الرفاه هذا في البلاد الكويسة. In Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and so on. So they receive the welfare payments. هذا عشان تعيش كويس في البلدان اللي عندها income والجي دي بي عالي. طيب, we have another variable which is the disposable personal income. الدخل الشخصي المتاح للتصرف. Disposable personal income, DPI. As you know that we have reached or calculated the personal income, صح؟ بس لسه ما خصصناش الانكم تاكس. صح؟ هل the question is هل البيرسونال انكم هذا تقدر تتصرف فيه انت كله؟ لا، لانه you have to pay income tax or direct tax. بعد ما نخصم الانكم تاكس بيصير disposable personal income, which means انه دخل شخصي متاح للتصرف، يعني بقدر اتصرف فيه. تمام؟ So the disposable personal income DPI equals the personal income هذا اللي بعد الديدكشنز والادنج بصير له personal income minus personal tax or sometimes income tax or direct taxes. Yes.
Personal tax like what?
Personal tax, it's the income tax or the tax income اللي هي ضريبة الدخل. ضريبة الدخل. You have everyone in the country receive income, he has to pay taxes on their income.
For the government?
Yes, for the government, exactly. So, the disposable person, disposable means متاح للتصرف. So the disposable personal income equals the personal income minus the personal tax or the direct taxes. صح؟ So the personal خلاص that's it. طيب مين عنده إشي مش فاهمه؟ أعيده. إيه؟ No one? Okay. Confusion, no, you have to concentrate well. بترجعوا بعد القراءات للفورمولاز والهاد بصير في عندكم إشي clear يعني. I know, yes. Here we have an exercise. We have an exercise. So let's discuss this exercise. Yes. Sorry? Okay. As you see, we have GDP and we want to calculate the gross national product. So the GDP is given and receipts of the factors income from the rest of the world اللي استلمناه والpayments اللي طلعت برا to reach the GNP or GDP plus receipts minus the payments to the rest of the world بعطيني شو الGNP أو الGNP قلنا بنقدر we can calculate the net national product اللي هو الGNP minus depreciation صح؟ هيو as you know the GNP equals what? GDP plus receipts minus the transfer or the payments transferred outside the country. So GNP equals GDP plus receipts minus payments to outside. أيوه GNP equals GDP plus receipts minus payments outside transferred outside, right? طيب NNP equals GNP minus depreciation. صح؟ So net national product equals GNP minus depreciation. صح؟ طيب what else? Yes, national income. Equals NNP minus indirect taxes plus subsidies. صح؟ So national income equals NNP minus الماينس هذه داخله على الاثنين. Right? So minus indirect taxes plus subsidies. So it should be like this. Right?
Why is it minus subsidies there?
Sorry?
It's minus subsidies.
Hayo, less here means minus. Minus times
Minus
positive,
yeah.
minus times minus equals positive. Right? What else? So in this case we'll reach to what? To the national income. To reach the personal income, as you know that personal income equals national income minus الأشياء اللي بنقتطعها ما بتوصلناش plus الأشياء اللي احنا بنستلمها. مظبوط ولا لا؟ So as you see, the national income minus corporate profits minus dividends. هلا هذه corporate profits minus dividends عبارة عن ايش؟ corporate profits means كل الأرباح ناقص اللي استلمناه. هذا ايش عبارة عن ايش؟ اللي هو undistributed profits or retained profits. طب هذه الريتين اللي ما استلمناهاش بتنخصم ولا بتنضاف؟ تنخصم. So as you see less. Yes, and less means negative.
There's minus too.
Sorry?
There's minus.
Okay, but the calculation or the value, corporate profits minus dividends قديش? Which what's the result?
You want the entrepreneur? Okay.
The corporate profits means the total profits, the total corporate profits minus the distributed profits. The dividends are the distributed profits. كل الأرباح ناقص اللي احنا استلمناش بضل عندي اللي ما استلمناهوش, which is the this undistributed profits or the retained profits. المحتجزة, أرباح محتجزة. It should be deducted, right? طيب, what else? The social insurance payments. واحد بدفع مدفوعات للتأمين الاجتماعي بتنخصم ما بتوصلناش, so it should be deducted. What about the personal interest income received from the government and consumers? هذا اللي هو الفوائد الشخصية اللي بيستلموها الناس, وبالتالي it should be added. Transfer payments to the persons. كل التحويلات اللي بتيجي للأشخاص it should be added, right? So plus. So we'll reach to what? To the personal income. هيك بنوصل لمين؟ للpersonal income, right? طيب, بعد personal income we have to calculate the disposable personal income. Disposable personal income, as you know, DPI equals personal income minus direct taxes or the personal taxes. صح؟ أيوه. The disposable personal income equals the personal income minus the personal taxes. الدخل المتاح للتصرف يساوي الدخل الشخصي ناقص الضريبة المباشرة أو ضرائب الأفراد, ضرائب على الأفراد. تمام؟ طيب. So the disposable personal income, أيوه, personal income minus personal taxes. هذا الدخل اللي بتقدر تتصرف فيه. طيب, the disposable personal income هذا أنت إيش بتعمل فيه؟ Part of this income should go to the consumption, والother وين بروح؟ على saving. صح؟ مظبوط ولا لا شباب؟ So the disposable personal income includes consumption plus saving. صح؟ So the personal saving عبارة عن إيش؟ The disposable personal income minus the consumption. So the distribution, or as you know, that the income that you can use, or the disposable personal income, دخلك كله جزء for consumption and the other part for what? For saving. Includes consumption plus saving. Consumption. طبعا وإذا عندك مش عندك التزامات أخرى غير الكونسامشن بتدفعها, والجزء اللي بضل وين بروح؟ على saving. So the personal saving equals disposable personal income minus the consumption minus الأشياء اللي بتتصرف فيها أنت, لأنه this the other part you can pay debts and so and something like this. So we'll see. So as you see, the personal saving equals disposable personal income minus the consumption والأشياء الأخرى اللي حنشوفها هالقيت. other expenses, right? واحد عليه interest بده يدفعها, واحد عليه هالقيت حنشوف, right? So the personal saving equals disposable personal income minus the consumption والأشياء الأخرى. طب في حاجة اسمها the personal saving rate. نسبة الادخار من الدخل قديش؟ اللي هو personal saving over اللي هو disposable personal income. خلينا نشوف لقيت شو الوضع. So let's come back to the concepts. The net national product, NNP, equals what? GNP minus depreciation وخلاص. صح؟ As you see, NNP equals GNP minus depreciation. هذه تفهمون. What else? The personal income. Personal income equals what? The national income minus الأشياء اللي ما وصلتناش plus الأشياء اللي وصلتنا. So the personal income is the income received by the households after paying social insurance taxes, but before paying what? The personal taxes. مظبوط؟ هذا لسه قبل ما ندفع البيرسونال taxes. صح؟ صحيح. أنا استلمت أشياء هو الناشونال انكم بلس اللي أنا ريسيف ماينس اللي deducted زي السوشيال انشورنس taxes والother taxes before deducting the personal taxes, as you know. طيب. Let's come back here to other exercise or another exercise. The disposable personal income minus الكونسامشنز اللي حكينا فيها البيرسونال consumption expenditures. احنا قلنا انه الدي بي اي هو عباره عن ايش؟ الكونسامشن بلس السيفنج. عشان بدي اوصل لقيت للبيرسونال سيفنج انا بدي اوصل للبيرسونال سيفنج. So as you see disposable personal income minus الكونسامشن حيوصلنا للسيفنج. بس في حاجات ثانيه بدي اخصمها لانها بتروح برا الكونسامشن برا it's part of the income it's part of the disposable personal income وراحت في الكونسامشن. زي ايش؟ الانترست paid by the consumer to the business. هذا جزء من الديسبوزبل بيرسونال انكم. انا ما رحت قاصص اول شيء رحت قصيت اللي هو الكونسامشن وقصيت انترست رحت دافعها انا وكمان البيرسونال ترانسفير بيمنتس تو ذا فورنرز. انا رحت محول جزء من المصاريه برا تمام. اعطاني ايش؟ البيرسونال سيفنج. سو ذا بيرسونال سيفنج ايش بيساوي؟ equals disposable personal income minus الكونسامشن minus الانترست اللي انا دفعتها minus الترانسفيرز اللي انا عملتها برا as a personal. So we will reach to what? The personal saving. طب تمام اللي هو personal saving. طيب personal saving as a percent or the percentage of personal saving عبارة عن ايش؟ وجزء من ال disposable personal income اللي راح على السيفنج. صح؟ مظبوط ولا لا؟ هلا ال percentage saving rate or the percentage the personal saving rate اللي هو بسموه معدل الادخار الشخصي هو جزء من disposable personal income اللي وديناه على السيفنج اللي هو saving over DPI. صح؟ so اللي هو personal saving rate the personal saving rate personal saving rate عبارة عن ايش؟ السيفنج over اللي هو disposable personal income saving over DPI times 100. هذا نسبة السيفنج من disposable personal income. So the personal saving rate is what? The percentage of what? It's the percentage of disposable personal income that is saved. والجزء من disposable personal income اللي حطيناه وين؟ في السيفنج. The personal saving rate is low or if إذا كان الادخار تبع العيلة is low. In this case the household are spending a large amount related to their incomes. إذا كان ادخارهم قليل معنى الكلام إنه مستهلكين كثير. And vice versa for sure. Oh, thank you very much indeed. يعطيكم العافية.